Sure. Yum. Mm, mm, mm. 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 Uh, oh, hmm, hmm, hmm. So Charlotte put together the list of topics for this week, and she came up with acceptance for the first one for Monday, and I thought that was really appropriate. It seems to be the base layer of all spiritual practice. Acceptance. What does that really mean? You're just going to accept things passively and let the world act upon you, and you're not going to try to stop any evil, and you're not going to try to fight for justice and do what's right. You're just going to accept everything, accept the Nazis, accept famine, accept suffering. Why is acceptance so important? What are we doing when we accept everything that we encounter? You even accept minor annoyances, barking dogs, annoying people, terrible noises, ugly things, too much light, too little light, uncomfortable places, traffic. What happens when you accept traffic? It's probably a good example. You're stuck in traffic on the highway. trying to cruise down I-25 and you're late for a meeting, and all of a sudden everything goes into a standstill, and the motion, the motive energy that you had is just ground to a halt. And you're sitting there in a parking lot on the highway, and you go, okay, I'm going to blow this appointment. I'm going to miss this opportunity. Everything I planned is being disrupted. You look way up ahead, you pull out a little bit, look way up ahead, and it looks like there's road construction. And you're like, oh my Lord, okay, this is over. But then you remind yourself, oh, let me just accept this moment. This is not a macro event happening to the world. This is a teaching happening to me. So as your system seizes up with like agitation and anger and impatience, if I can just let that unpack a little bit, let that dissolve a little, find myself accepting of that present moment, something miraculous starts to happen. That traffic starts to ease and unfurl and open. Like rail cars that were all crunched together, they start expanding, opening. And then there's a little motion, and then it starts going. And then your foot's not on the brake anymore, it's on the accelerator, and you're picking up speed and you're going 30 miles an hour. All of a sudden you're going, what happened? I thought there was road construction. But you're just moving. You've allowed the universe to speak to you, to teach you in that moment. Not to differentiate between what's good and bad, but to accept everything that comes. And your reward is the traffic starts picking up again. And all of a sudden, you put it on cruise control at 70 miles an hour and you don't let up for the next hour because all of the obstacles have been removed. You can even feel the Shakti, the Holy Spirit, move through you as that revelation dawns on you. And the analog to that movement is the movement of the world. That traffic is only my mind. This is a story about Ramana Maharshi, who was visited by devotees frequently over 50 years, obviously. Someone came to visit him over many miles and many days of travel, a devotee who'd never met him before. He was agitated and angry about all the obstructions that happened during his travel. He got there and he couldn't sleep. They were going to have a nice meditation in the morning, and he was really ready to prep himself. And he was ready to go, and he was, excited to see his teacher and sit with him. And couldn't fall asleep all night. There was dogs barking, there was noises, peacocks squawking. And that morning, he went into the meditation hall, and Bhagavan noticed he was a little out of sorts. Asked him what was wrong, and he said, "Bhagavan, I'm delighted to be here with you, but I couldn't sleep all last night. It was the worst. Dogs were barking, and the dog was just barking. I couldn't sleep, and here I am, frazzled and irritated and grumpy." Bhagavan said, "It was your mind that was barking." That dog is my mind. He's not going to bark me into discomfort unless I allow that. And the joy of acceptance is you're not picking winners and losers. You're not saying this is good, this is bad, this is okay, that's mediocre, that's wonderful, and that's terrible. It's undifferentiated. There's no judgment. Spiritual people will say, oh, don't judge, but you can discern. I don't subscribe to that. I don't think you can discern either. It's not good. Oh, I'm grateful for a roof over my head. I'm grateful for this wonderful meal. I'm grateful for my family and friends. Okay. What about the suffering that you've had? What about the fear and anxiety and suicidal paranoia and all the terrible things that have happened to you? What about them? Are you not grateful for them? You should be grateful for them. That's what really brought you to this place, not ease and comfort. If you've touched anything of enlightenment, it's because of your suffering. If you've touched anything of grace, it's because of your suffering. And you say, oh, well, if there is a just and mighty God, why does he allow us to suffer? Why is there so much suffering in the world? Because there is a just and mighty God. That's why. That's heat and pressure. When you're writhing in the throes of suffering, that's heat and pressure, and you're stuck pinned to the wall, burning. What's happening there? Those are the galvanic pressures that turn coal into diamond. We're going from coal into diamond, from a black, sooty, stuck, dense material thing into something transcendent and crystalline and intelligent and light and free. Fire and brimstone, heat and pressure. When you're sitting there in your car, basting in your own impatience on the highway, when you're trying to fall asleep and that dog is barking in your ear. How could this dog do this to me? Doesn't he know who I am? This is the root. What about his owner? Don't they care? Can't they bring him inside? It's not about the owner. It's not about the dog. It's not about the traffic. It's about me. If I am in acceptance, nothing can agitate me. Everything goes smoothly. Everything is in grace. That's the lived experience. That's how it feels to be in equanimity and grace. That's what acceptance yields. Ultimately, acceptance brings all the multifarious, fractured particles of this reality and the appearance of all the people and events in this world and bring it back to their source, which is my own heart. That's where they all started. That's where they appear from. That's where they arise and disappear into my own heart. So if I can practice acceptance to everything I see, not just the moderately difficult things, but the extraordinarily difficult things, the places of supreme discomfort, of supreme confusion, dissociative dread, terrible hallucinatory hell. If I can accept even that, I invite that back into myself, into my heart, where it was born. And the many become the one again. The 8 billion people in the world become the one person. 8 billion beings become one being. I am that being, you're that being. That seems to be the core principle. If I can crack that code, if I can get that right, if I can really accept everything, my own mistakes, my own foibles, my own troubles, they don't become mistakes and foibles and troubles anymore, do they? They simply become what is. God made that happen. I didn't make that happen. So if I judge it, I'm second guessing God, aren't I? Hey, nice job, God, on most of things, but this one thing you really got wrong. It's like surveying one of God's beautiful paintings and saying, oh, that's wonderful, but you could use a little more yellow up here, and this composition is wrong. Nice try, but next time maybe you'll get it right. I don't second guess God. He's the supreme. He's all things and all beings. So when I go to bed at night and I practice gratitude, and I wake up in the morning when you're still in that hypnagogic state and your highly suggestible subconscious is waiting for instructions for the day, that's when to practice gratitude. Not gratitude about this or that, gratitude about everything, the entire tissue of this matrix, every one and every zero, all the ones and zeros. No differentiation, same substance. Grateful for all of that. So I become gratitude. It has to do with the light. This light behind me, the light of the sun, the light of our world that shows us things, but also the spiritual light. That's an invisible one. They're both white. It's white light. What is white light? It's every frequency of light. It's like dark side of the moon with that prism. No frequency of light is excluded. The entire bandwidth, millions of colors. Certainly red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, Ray G. Biv, all the colors of the rainbow. If I am the white light, I'm all those colors. I'm not exclusive of orange that day or not exclusive of green that day. Everything that arises in my experience is perfection. Once that's understood, then I am the white light. If I cast out any of those frequencies, any jagged moment of difference or chafing against another person or a reality or an event, any moment I do that, I'm casting that frequency out of my white light and it becomes dulled and grayed. And my radiance can't shine. I can't bring that to the world, and others can't bring their radiance to me because there's a haze of judgment between. The white light is the Shakti. It is the Holy Spirit. It is the carrier wave. It's It's the biggest amplitude, the widest bandwidth. It's the carrier wave that conveys all other energies. It's measured scientifically. It can penetrate thicknesses of lead that X-rays can't even get through. That white light and its purity is the sum and the force of all things and all beings, to the exclusion of nothing and no one. They tell Jesus, why do you hang out with all the beggars and pimps and prostitutes and pushers and troublemakers, criminals? They're the ones who need me. They're the ones who need to be invited back into the light. They've gone astray from it. Is that because of their environment, their upbringing, their native ways, their misfortune? No, they are myself. If I can embrace them and all of their incoherence and trouble and unsightliness and bad odors and deeply unpleasant energy, if I can be in that maelstrom, I can be in my own maelstrom, my own incoherence, my own confusion, my own problems and failures. I'm just projecting them on those people, aren't I? They're the issue. It's not me. No, I'm the issue. There are no others. There are no other observers, not even one. There's only me. Because everybody who I see as an other is myself. That's no secret. Anybody who studies Jung or has looked into psychological projection understands, at least on an intellectual level, that if I'm finding fault in anybody, I'm just projecting my own fault on them. I'm scapegoating them. That's what the criminal justice system is about. Let's make it their fault and put them in a box. Nope. Oh, look what that horrible thing that lady or gentleman did. Unbelievable. How could he or she do that? Well, ask yourself, how could you do that? That's you that you're looking at. So ultimately, if I accept everything I see, I'm accepting myself, aren't I? And what happens when I accept myself? I can step into my own power. I can become self-actualized, self-realized. That's what self-realization is to me. Gabriel had a wonderful reflection on this. Didn't you, Gabriel? About all those forces are driving you back into oneness.
Brother, forgive me, April. Mhm. Brother, all the forces, yes, driving you back into oneness, creating the sensations inside that are pulling you back into oneness. Those feelings of disease that we feel are really the forces of God pulling us back into one. I feel grateful for all the experiences that bring to the surface the somatic sensations now that I understand their true purpose. I don't know if that answers the question, but what's to share.
Charlotte, remind us what all the topics are for this week. Acceptance is Monday. What are the rest that you have?
Tomorrow would be patience. Tuesday is patience. Wednesday is compassion. Thursday is humility, and Friday is courage.
Hmm.
That's all for the week.
Yeah, because you gave me those 5 topics, and I think we reordered them a little bit because I felt like acceptance is the base layer of all that. Once you get acceptance in place, then you can start working on those other things. And patience for tomorrow, we're still at the beginning of the week. A lot of people slog through their week. They're like, oh gosh, it's only Tuesday. Look at this long week I have ahead of me. What? Really? You're just trying to race to the weekend? You can't find any joy and pleasantness and beauty in a Tuesday because it's too much to the beginning of your work week. Don't be a slave. Don't be in bondage. Don't chase the weekend so you can go out and get drunk and party and try to lose yourself and get free. Get free now. We're free now. But for some people, it's an uphill climb. It's you're rolling that rock up the hill, and then you get to hump day. Oh, it's hump day. We're over the edge a little bit. Now it's going to start getting a little bit easier. Then Thursday's better, and then Friday's really great because we're almost like 1 foot out the door of the office. We don't have to work. And then Saturday, here we are. But oh my gosh, I've got to go back to work in 2 days, so better make the most of it. And then Sunday rolls around. Oh boy, it's done. This is all just a joke because tomorrow I got to go back to work. And then you start it all over again, the slog at the very bottom of the hill, pushing that rock up the hill. If I can live in acceptance, ain't nothing can bother me. Nothing can slow me down. They say in that song, nothing can break my stride. Jesus dying on the cross, that's the ultimate expression of acceptance, isn't it? You're being nailed to the cross. That's what's happening when you're sitting in traffic on I-25 and it turns into a parking lot when you're late. That's what happens when you're trying to get some good rest so you can see your teacher in the morning and the dog keeps barking in your ear and keeping you up. You're getting nailed to the cross. Are you going to writhe in misery like a slave? Or are you going to behave like Jesus did? With presence, with awareness, looking down at his tormentors with love and acceptance and compassion. They know not what they do. That's fine, but you got real pain right here, don't you? That hurts. Right through that hand, getting nailed to a cross. You kidding me? In the heat, baking in the sun, knowing you're going to die, and finding acceptance in that, looking down with grace, looking down with humility, looking down with compassion to the people who are yourself. The one nailing you to the cross is yourself. It's not the government. It's not the Illuminati. It's not the reptilians or the chemtrails or the Republicans or the Democrats or your parents or your teacher or your circumstances or your neighborhood. Nothing is nailing you to the cross. To take another metaphor, you are Otis and Andy of Mayberry pulling that ring of keys off the hook, unlocking the jail door, opening it up, and stepping inside for the night. You are locking yourself in jail. You have an issue with somebody, you got a problem with the world that you're grinding on, collecting grievances, you're locking yourself in jail. You're the one who put you in there. There are no others. Oh, but it's my upbringing, it's my neighborhood, it's my genes. It's this government. It's this darn boss of mine. It's the traffic. It's this dog. No, no, no. It's you. Take responsibility. Stop blaming other people. If only this or that or the other circumstance would change, I could be happy and, things would be awesome. Oh, good. Okay, well, why don't you put together your manifesto and we'll make sure that every 8 billion people in the world get that manifesto and work together and conspire to custom craft a perfect world for you so that you don't have to take any responsibility for your own life. Easier way would just to be, let me accept this world as it is and find out how to operate within it. Let it teach me how to behave. Let God teach me. God, I don't know how to worship you. I don't know how to love you. I don't know how to honor you. I don't know how to do your good work. Show me. I don't know how to behave. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to solve this problem or pay that bill or catch up with this. Show me. It's ultimately not your responsibility at all, is it? It's the responsibility of whoever put this great magical machine in motion. That's their responsibility. And they're doing a perfectly good job at it. So when I say take personal responsibility, that's really what I mean, ultimately. When I can practice acceptance as a practice, practice makes perfect. It takes a long time, many years in my experience. And I'm going to walk out my door today and I guarantee there's something that's going to challenge this. Oh, I'll accept everything except for that jerk over there. I can't deal with this guy this morning. I don't want to do this. Oh my God. How do I do this? Practice makes perfect. When you practice acceptance, your world becomes perfect. And you say, oh, there's no such thing as perfection. Geez, that's just a pipe dream. There's always going to be problems. There's always going to be challenges and suffering and evils in the world. No. Perfection does exist, and it exists in the company of enlightened beings like Ganga Ma, my teacher in Tiruvannamalai, extending from the tradition of Ramana Maharshi. In her presence, there's only perfection. It's fruition. All our trials, all the roads of suffering lead to that moment of pure presence, pure awareness, bliss, ease. It's just natural. It's just easy. It's not holy, holy, holy. It's just, the purest, perfect expression of just the lived experience. That's what happens in her company, frequently and consistently and always. How can that be? Because she has embodied acceptance so fully that when you are looked at by this creature, when she sees you, it's like being seen for the first time. It's like going home. because she sees all of your iniquities, all of your shortcomings, all of your faults, and she loves you just the same. If I can see everybody that I encounter in that same way, they are transformed. And the whole world is transformed. It's my responsibility. It's no one else's. God helps me do it. He facilitates. The Divine Mother helps me do it. She makes it happen. But this body, this person, is the one that brings it into motion in the world. That's what I can do to serve God. So I can accept everybody that I see and bless them in the radiant light of their own perfection that perhaps they have lost sight of. Thank you for joining us today. It's great to see you both. Charlotte will take us out by telling us a little bit about what's coming up.
So, thank you for joining this 1 hour session of Mindful Mornings. And we've talked about acceptance. Tomorrow, we hope to see you because we'll be talking about patience next. All the links are in the description box in our YouTube live stream. So we hope to see you again tomorrow and the following days to come. Thank you so much.
Namaste.
Waking up one day, I say I leave enough. Too many years of that, too many days for that. I'm holding up my life, I'm holding on too tight. I had enough of that. I sing a prayer for that. Oh, I'm getting old enough to know what's wrong, what's right. But I got freedom here. My mind you never get. This is it. This is all. We can stand. We can fall. Gonna go for it all. And I choose to stand tall. What if I never wake? Can't see what's wrong, what's right. with that.